Good morning, guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Van Build Tech Talk with Curt. I'm Curt, and thank you so much for joining on this video. You know, if you guys have been following this channel at all, we've put out several of these Tech Talk videos. This is episode 8, and this is on recirculating shower maintenance. And so if you haven't seen our recirculating shower, you'll definitely want to go back and watch that video in the Tech Talk series. I'll put a link to it up here so that you can go back and watch that. But you'll want to watch that probably before you watch the maintenance video. I'm not going to go into how I built the recirculating shower in this video, but I did in that other video. So go watch that, and then you can come back and see what the fiddle factor is for actually having a recirculate shower, because it's not set it and forget it. There is some maintenance involved, and so I'm going to go through that in this topic. I'm going to jump right in, but before I do, I just want to remind you that the price of admission for watching these Tech Talk videos is clicking the like button, clicking the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell. We do not have a set schedule as of yet for releasing videos, so the best way to get notified when we release a new video from either our travel series, from our Tech Talk series, or from our Van Life Real Talk series, the best way to get notified is to turn those notifications on. So, that said, recirculating shower maintenance, let's jump right in. First things first, there is some basic just usage maintenance that we do. And so when I say usage, after we get out of the shower, there are things we do. Now, usually we kind of both take showers, one right after another. It just makes it a little easier for the after cleanup, as well as when we turn our hot water heater on, it takes about 10 minutes for the water to get hot. It's an on-demand water heating system, hydronic system, and I'm going to talk about that in my next Tech Talk video, and that is the hydronic heating water system. But basically that takes about 10 minutes to heat up. Once it gets heated up, then you have on-demand hot water for as long as you need it, but that initial heat up. So generally we take showers back to back, and the first person does a little bit of the prep for the shower, the little bit of fiddling that we have to do to get that ready, and then the last person to shower does the cleanup. So just briefly on the setup, all we do is we have 2 boxes of sort of our personal effects. Maybe at the end of the night we put our clothes there or whatever, just like a little drop box that we keep on the shower cushion. So Snow has one and I have one, so those boxes just get set up on the bed. The cushion that's on the bench for the shower gets set up on the bed, so that's pretty easy peasy. We grab a towel down, we drape it over the toilet, and there's a door there, so we kind of stuff that in there and hang that down so we don't get moisture in our composting toilet. And we pick the mats up on the floor. So we have a rubber mat, sort of a bathroom mat, and that is so that we don't track in the shower, and so we don't get debris or whatever, kitty litter, whatever in the shower. And so before we take a shower, we roll those mats up and set them aside, and that's it. We're ready to go. Pull the doors closed, turn the water on, and bada bing, bada boom, hot shower. Now, when we're done with the hot shower, again, the second person, we have a small squeegee. And so we simply just take and we squeegee the walls and the bench and the floor. We squeegee all the water into the drain. And that literally takes a minute or 2. I mean, it's so easy. We have the squeegee right there. It works perfect. It's a small space. Squeegee that up and then do some minor wipe down, and that's it. It's really as simple as that, guys. Now, what we do before we put the floor mats in is even when you squeegee, there might be still a little moisture. Maybe it's kind of, absorbed in the grout or whatever. And so we wait, 15 minutes or whatever before we put the shower mats back in there. Then we put them in there, drop the cushion back on the seat, put the 2 boxes on there, and we're good to go. So very little Sort of usage maintenance, there is some fiddling, but there's not a lot of fiddling. The next piece of maintenance that I will talk about is what we'll call for discussion, we'll call this the weekly maintenance. Now, as it turns out, for us, that's about 3 to 5 days. And here's why. We have just less than 30 gallons of fresh water. And so we have two different, to be clear, we have two separate systems. We have our fresh water system for our kitchen sink and for brushing our teeth and things like that. And then we have a completely separate recirculating shower system. So two systems, if you will. So we have roughly 30 gallons of fresh water and then our gray water tank. So based on our usage there, we usually last about 3 to 5 days is what we're either having to dump our gray tank or we're wanting to top off with fresh water. So that's generally speaking our rotation. So when we dump our gray water tank and fill our fresh water tank, we go ahead and do our shower maintenance with that. And this is pretty easily, and I'll go through this step by step. But the first thing we do with our shower is, the dump and fill. So we're already at the dump station. I basically hook a hose back on the dump part of the shower tank and drop that in the gray water tank, open the valve, and that drains out. Now, so I can drain both my gray water tank and my shower tank at the same time, easy peasy. And then what I do as that tank empties out, I run a little bit of fresh water in there to sort of flush that tank out. Now, this is not a heavy duty flush. This is maybe, 10 gallons or so, just to get any, soap or buildup or residue rinsed out of the bottom of that tank. So it's just a light rinsing on the bottom of that. Again, I'll turn the water supply to fill the tank on while it's draining, turn it off, turn it on, turn it on. Anyway, just a little bit of light rinse to get that shower tank drained down and empty. And then once I put clean water in the tank, then I have a valve that I just turn, and that actually flushes the water backwards through the filters, right? So it's a back flush. Now, I don't back flush this every time. I've experimented with that and haven't noticed a big difference on the back flush. So this is not necessarily something I feel needs to be done every week. Some people may want to, but sometimes we just do a simple water change with the rinse of the tank, good to go, till the next time, for the next week or 3 to 5 days or whatever. But I do probably do the back flush every other time, at least on average or whatever. And you just want to make sure, one of the key things with back flushing is you want to make sure you're back flushing with fresh water. So don't back flush with the dirty water that you may have in your shower tank after you've already taken a shower. Make sure you drain that, clean that, get rid of that if you're using that water to back flush. If you're using fresh water to flush, obviously that's not a concern, so it all depends on how you decide to plumb it. But you definitely want to back flush with fresh water, and generally about 5 to 10 minutes seems to be reasonable on the back flush. And then you simply top your tanks off with fresh water. So honestly, guys, this probably adds maybe 5 to 10 minutes overall to a dump and fill, so it's not a lot of time. And again, if you have a fresh water source and you're at a dump station, it's easy peasy, so it's not a ton of maintenance and it's not a real big deal. Now, the next piece of maintenance is a bigger deal. And, I need to stress is I think that having an effective maintenance program with a recirculating shower system is of the utmost importance. You've got to remember, guys, that once you shower, the water goes down into the drain, and you're going to be filtering that water to come back out the shower head. So once those filters filter the dirt, the soap, whatever it is that they're not letting through, that's going to stay right there between your tanks and your filters until you empty that out. And so it builds up over time. And so if you don't do this maintenance, you're going to end up with problems. So it's really important to get a good weekly flush system. And then maybe even more importantly is this monthly maintenance. Now, when I say monthly, I mean probably 3 to 5 weeks. Now, we've been using the recirculating shower for about going on close to 5 months. And so we have quite a bit of experience with it, but I am still tweaking on some processes and systems to this. So I can't say this is a fully vetted, tested process. So I will give you updates as I move forward on what works and what doesn't work as it moves forward. But this is what's working for me right now in terms of the monthly maintenance. So just like when we're doing a water change, we drain the tank of the dirty water, and then we flush that out a little bit, do a light flush on that. So now I've got a clean tank. Then I undo the big blue housing, right? And I pull my filters out and set those aside. Now while I'm there, I go ahead and put that housing back on with no filter in it. So I take all 3 of my filters out. I take off my and put the housings back on. I take my spin down filter housing off, take that and rinse it real good, the screen on the inside of that, and then put that up in back and reassemble that. Now what I do is I refill the shower tank with about 4 or 5 gallons of water. You don't have to top it off. You maybe, depending on your plumbing setup, you may be able to get away with a little bit. But I put about 3 or 4 cups of bleach. And the idea here is to flush your whole entire system with that bleach and clean water. And so that's what we do. We put the bleach in there. We put 4 or 5 gallons of water. We come in the van and we turn the shower on. We have one of those little handheld shower sprayers. So we basically just set that down in the drain. We turn the hot water heater on in advance. And so we flush good hot water, bleach water through the system. And we'll do that for a good, I'm going to tell you, 10 to 15 minutes. And just let that flush through that system without the filters. And again, we're just using that bleach to kill any of the bacteria or to clean the tank, the filter housings that are kind of holding all that stuff. And this is really, I've found this to be a really good, effective, best practice. If you guys have a non-bleach or less harsh something cleaner that would function as well, link that in the comments or whatever, and we'll take a look at that. But bleach is easy to get, and it works really well in terms of sanitizing our system. So once we've done that, now what I'll also say is while we're there, and generally snow does the inside and I'm doing the outside. So with that hot bleach water, we'll take that around the edges and the corners, and we'll use that sprayer to kind of spray down and actually kind of deep clean the shower with that bleach water, if you will. So that keeps any mold or any buildup down and cleaned up. And then also in our linear drain, we have a filter material like this. I don't know if you guys can see this, but anyway, it's kind of a mesh and filter. So we put this in our linear drains. It takes 2 of them. We have a 24-inch linear drain. And I do recommend a linear drain, by the way. You don't have to have a linear drain, but it gives the shower a greater area for the water to go into. It just seems like it makes drainage a lot easier and quicker for me. But we put these in, and this will catch any hair or bigger particles or something like that. And so we just pull this out and clean this, and it works really well. Additionally, there's a little screen inside the drain, a screen that is a little coarser than this that also acts as a barrier of keeping large debris from getting down into the tank. So that's kind of what we do inside while we're flushing with bleach water. Once we're done with that, Then we go ahead and drain that bleach water out of the tank, and then we give it another light rinse. Now, while this whole process is going on, this 10 or 15 minutes while the system is flushing the inside and generally speaking, snow's in here kind of cleaning up the inside, I've taken the filter cartridges from outside that I've taken out, and I take those with a hose and I spray those down. Now, what you'll notice, again, depending on how long you have them in and how many showers and how much soap and how much conditioner and all the stuff you'll use, you'll actually see buildup on those housing filters. Now, my experience is if you do this every week, you don't have any pressure loss and you can keep your system pretty clean. But we hose those down. I hose those down, clean them out real good, and get those ready to put back. So once everything is done, we've flushed the system with bleach. We've drained that water out of the system. Now we kind of light rinse the bleach out of the tank and whatnot, and then it's time for the filters to go back in to the housings, and we put those back in. Now, I don't know if it's like a half gallon, a gallon of water or whatever that when you put the filter in that housing would hold. Just know if you put those up there with no water in them, you put them just with the filter and empty, when you turn your system on, you're going to be pushing air through your system. Now, that's not going to break it or anything. It's not a problem. But one thing that I've found that makes that situation better is when you put the filter in, you fill the filter with fresh water and then kind of screw it in there, and then you won't be putting all that air into the system. Again, the air doesn't bother anything. When you turn the shower on, it'll push the air out. You'll just have the you guys have probably seen that in your lifetime where when you turn a fountain on, it pushes air out. But if you do that little tip right there, fill your housings with water, then you won't have that issue. And so once you put those filter cartridges back on, really from that point in time, you top your tank off with fresh water, and you're good to go for what I call another month. Again, 3 to 5 weeks, depending on the usage factors that I discussed. And so that's kind of the fiddling that you have to do. What I would encourage you to do is, if you're thinking about a recirculating shower, you already have one, put those filters in a place where you can sort of easily get to them if you want. As I talked about in the recirculating shower video, I've got the 4.5 by 10 inch housings because I'm able to put those under the van like this, and so I can unscrew them pretty easily and change those out, and it's not that big of a deal. So that's it for the monthly maintenance. Now I will talk about the sort of 3 to 6 month maintenance. Now, when I said earlier that I don't exactly have this system ironed out 100% in terms of the maintenance, this is kind of where it's foggy because I've only been to the 3 to 6 month mark once. And this is actually where you're going to change your filters. So initially when I went into this, I thought maybe I would get 6 months to a year out of a set of filters. Based on this first go around, it was, I think, a little over 4 months before I changed the filters. In hindsight, probably 4 months was a bit too long in my case. Again, I wasn't using maintenance best practices I described in this the whole entire time. So my filters probably didn't get as treated as well as they should have. So maybe if you do all the proper maintenance, you can get a little bit more out of them, maybe 4 or 5 months. One thing I've noticed is the charcoal filter that I have, the carbon filter, seems to hold up quite a bit better than the other ones. So when I changed the filters, and I just changed them, I think about a week ago, but when I changed the filters, I went ahead and got all carbon. Okay, and so the other ones were nice because they cleaned up easy. I could get multiple weeks out of them. But what I did notice was, again, to describe the filter, is that water comes through there. It's filtering the soap, the dirt, whatever. It's filtering that. So that nasty water, if you will, sits in that cartridge. So over time, again, depending on your situation, over time, that cloth material seems to sort of absorb that. And even with rinsings, they feel like, it seems like they're clean, but they do start to get a smell that you don't get out. And that's to me your true indicator of when it's time to change it. If your filters are holding an odor or a smell, for me, I don't want to get to that point. I want to change them before that happens. Now when they come out, they might have that, but generally you can rinse them off and you're good. So my experiment is to try the carbon filters to see maybe if I can get a little more lifespan out of those before I have to change them. What I will tell you is if you order in quantity of 4 to 6 or 8, the price of the filters go down quite a bit. And so it may make more sense to just, every 3 months, just have a change out process. And then again, if you wanted to change them out more frequently, obviously you could. There's a cost associated with that. So I'm interested to see how the carbon filters hold up. The one carbon filter that I didn't have in previously looked perfect. So I'll give you guys an update in 2 or 3 months once I've had an opportunity to look at those. But just to kind of close this topic out, with a recirculating shower, it's an absolute game changer for us. We love that thing. We use it. We use the heck out of it, and we get good showers. And but there is a fiddle factor associated with a recirculating shower, and it's all about maintenance. And if you don't maintain it, then you're going to run into some issues. And so I just wanted to be clear and transparent about that. I'll keep you guys updated. As I said early on, we have some other Tech Talk videos coming out. I'm working on one for our hydronic hot water heating system. And then I think I may do one on the composting toilet. If you guys have any other topics that you would like to see, please leave those in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.